think a lot of people right now are quietly asking themselves the same question. Why do I feel so lost? Not necessarily externally, but internally, like something no longer fits, even if they can't fully explain what it is. Welcome back. I'm Ali Christos. And today I want to talk about something I think many people are experiencing collectively right now: disorientation, uncertainty, emotional exhaustion, identity shifts, and the feeling that the old ways of living no longer feel meaningful. I think many people are waking up emotionally, but they don't always realize that's what's happening. One of the hardest parts of growth is that before people become more aligned, they often first feel lost because the identities they built their lives around begin to crack. The career, the relationship, the lifestyle, the beliefs, the version of themselves they spent years performing. And suddenly, what once felt normal no longer feels emotionally true. I also think modern life creates enormous emotional and nervous system overload. People are constantly consuming information, comparison, fear, opinions, productivity pressure, and stimulation, but very little space exists for stillness, reflection, emotional processing, or genuine connection. So many people feel internally fragmented without understanding why. I think a lot of people were taught that achievement equals fulfillment, so they chased success, money, status, approval, or external validation. But eventually, many people reach a point where they realize external success cannot replace inner connection. And that realization can feel deeply destabilizing. I honestly think many people are grieving versions of themselves they never got to fully become. Grieving lost time, lost relationships, lost innocence, lost connection, or years spent surviving instead of truly living. But because society moves so fast, people rarely slow down enough to acknowledge this grief consciously. One thing I've realized is that awakening is not always blissful. Sometimes awakening feels confusing because suddenly you begin questioning everything. Who am I really? What actually matters? Why have I been living this way? What do I truly want? What feels emotionally real anymore? And during that process, people often temporarily feel more lost before they feel more aligned. I've gone through periods of feeling deeply uncertain too. Moments where old identities stopped fitting. Moments where I questioned my direction. Moments where externally things looked okay, but internally something felt disconnected. And I think many people eventually realize feeling lost is sometimes part of finding a deeper truth. I don't think the answer is always doing more, consuming more, or forcing clarity. Sometimes clarity begins when people finally slow down enough to hear themselves again, to reconnect with their body, their emotions, their intuition, their values, their nervous system, their deeper inner truth. Because beneath the noise, most people already know what no longer feels aligned. Maybe feeling lost doesn't mean you're failing. Maybe it means the version of you built through survival is no longer enough for the life your soul is asking for. If this episode resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed, left a review, or shared this with someone who may need it. And if you want to follow the journey, you can find me on Instagram at Beyond the Script Show. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode of Beyond the Script.